Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Boogerman, a pick and flick adventure. In the last part we finished off the pits and went a good amount through Boogerville here, and now we're in the last of its main stages. Boogerville Stage 4 is probably the least interesting, but that's because if I recall, it's also the shortest. Though I have to give the game this, well, I mentioned that they don't really do much with the gimmicks in this game. It's more or less just the same stuff from start to finish. One thing I have to give Boogerman as a game is that they go up and down and all around in terms of your stage designs. It's not like straightforward left to right platforming like it is in a lot of the Mario games and such. You'll go up, you'll go left, you'll go right, you'll go down some points. And I actually have to give it a lot of credit for that, because that's something that a lot of bad platformers just don't realize they should do in terms of the level design. Well, let's say bad platformers only, because Sonic Rush did that too, and Sonic Rush is a good game, but it's very rudimentary. Also, the bonus toilets down there, I actually have no idea how to get to that one. Ultimately, when it comes to the end of the game, though, because we're getting close to it, we're at the end of the third world, and the next world, the second to last one, we're doing that this entire part. The entirety of it, this part, rather. My main advice when it comes to just playing the game normally, especially on the first playthrough, is don't rush. Take your time, walk forward, stop every couple of seconds maybe, just so you don't run into any enemies or fall onto any enemies in particular. Because admittedly, one of this game's bigger issues, even though it's something you can work around fairly easily due to your attacks, is that sometimes the enemy placement just isn't the most well thought out. Or the most, let's say, friendly. But at the same time, though, they do give you a good amount of ways to combat said enemies, be it the various attacks, the up-attack upgrades, or even the fact of how many routes there can be through some stages. Ultimately, Boogerman does get a bit more linear the farther you go through with a fewer amount of stage routes. But at the same time, there are still ways to go around things, especially, I think, if you're a speedrunner. Because a speedrun is just a little bit longer than this part is, honestly. Because I think speedruns are like, I think I went over this earlier, 27 minutes. This part's 21. There's probably a lot of tech involved in that. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find any speedrun techniques while we're going through this. Ultimately, the pus creatures are still going to be the biggest annoyance because their placements are just not very good. Viewing a sped up version of a speedrun on YouTube using like the speed up feature, looks like most of this is just level memorization, some good jumps, using the fart effectively to boot yourself through. Okay, he just floated up a wall. What the hell? Okay, yeah, I thought there would be glitches in the game like this. Either way, 23 minutes, that's, you know what, it's probably because they use items instead of a no item use run then. It makes me wonder if this has ever been in a GDQ. I don't think it has been. Plus, I just want to get off that tab because that speedrun was done on the Super Nintendo version, and man, the music just sounds wrong to me. Oh no, actually no, this gets introduced here. Welcome to one of this game's new platforming ideas, rock pushing. Introduced in the 4th stage of the third world, meaning that this is level 14 of 25? A bit late there, guys. That's something you introduce in maybe like the 2nd world, if not like the 3rd level in total. Come on, guys. But really, rock pushing, you weren't there before. You just kind of walk into it and you push it. You use that to either give yourself a platform or to block off some wind, which we'll see later on. With that said, though, now it's time for the Boogerville boss fight, which, if it's not Revolta, is probably my least favorite. Flyboy. Aha! Uh-oh. I have no idea what he said there. I guess it was "you never beat me," but Flyboy is annoying. First off, he does have one good thing going for him, and that's that he's always in mid-air. You can duck under him without having to jump around him. His attacks are that he can fly across. He'll vomit 3 little spits out like that at varying altitudes, generally far, middle, and close to his proximity. And he can also spit out a little minion. You're intended to jump over the minion and most of his attacks, I think, using the trampoline. but I can't figure out the best time to exactly do that. What makes this guy so annoying is this spit attack. It's not like it has distinct patterns to it. It's not like it always goes close, middle, far, or far, middle, close. It is entirely randomized as to which one it does, and that makes predicting where it's gonna go a complete and total pain. I think he theoretically has less HP than other bosses, but I can't tell. I just don't like Flyboy. And welcome to Mucous Mountains, which is a bit of a unique world, but I'll get into why when we get to the second level of it. Either way, let's take a brief visit to the manual so we can read Flyboy's bio. Flyboy. Buzz Winger was a hotshot crop duster in Hick Boy's hometown. While dusting Major Hick's crop of hash browns, in parentheses potatoes, his plane was struck by a lightning bolt, ricocheted off a tornado, and crashed into a large anthill. You know what happened then. Attacks, vomit bomb, furt duster, and maggot missiles. That's a thing. It makes I know I said before, but it makes me wonder if they intended to make this more of a minor brand, even if it was just kind of like a comic series like the Tick was at some point. Because I could see that happening. Hell, thanks to Action 52 and the Cheetah-Men, we've seen attempts to make toys and cartoons out of lesser effort games. I look at Bubsy as well, actually, because I just remember the little animated thing that came. I think that was with the PC. No, the Saturn. No, it was PC Bubsy, I think, where they had the voice of Pinky voicing Bubsy, and man, was he annoying. Yeah, there's death number 2, I think. Now, one thing I'm actually going to be looking at blind here, like I did with the speedrun. I think that was not speedrun, commercial last part. Is the voice actor for Boogerman, because I think the voice actors are known. So let's see who this guy is voiced by. Oh, he's voiced by 2 different people. Michael McConaughey and Dan Castellaneta? And Clay Fighter 63 1/3. He's voiced by Homer Simpson. Okay, but what about this guy? Who is this one? King Kai and Super. Various anime voice actors. Seth in Street Fighter. Charles Z. Britannia in Code Geass. Okay, wow, that's... Oh. Well, I can actually hear it, too. That's weird. Wow. Samurai Champloo, Gungrave. He's actually done a shitload of stuff. Wow. Sepicmon and Candlemon later in Digimon Frontier. Ironhide in the weird-ass anime-ass Star Wars Transformers series. Huh. Either way, before I continue on with that, what makes Mucous Mountain such a unique world is that it's divided into 2 level aesthetics. The odd-numbered levels 1 and 3 are Mucous Mountain, where you're outside, jumping up a mountain with bottomless pits beneath you at all times. The even-numbered levels are the Nasal Caverns, which is an interior-themed level with some of the little snot river of doom stuff. And those platforms I just jumped over a moment ago are the worst part of this level. Why? Their hitbox isn't exactly where you would think it is. You'd think the entire thing is hitbox, but it feels like only the right side is. We also get a lot more rock pushing, and for the first time since like level 1, little rocks we can blow up, rock walls rather, we can blow up with our giant farts or giant burps. I believe the TAS actually does some interesting stuff with the gas meter, like pressing the radish fart jet at such a frame that it doesn't actually reduce your gas meter much, if at all. I think it also just decimates most of the boss fights, so yeah, that's the thing. Either way, back to that voice actor thing. Let's see, who else has this guy been? Oh, he's been various Power Ranger villains. I remember Motor Mantis in particular. Gork in the original Mighty Morphin. Oh wow, he's been voice acting at least in shows since the original Transformers where he was Trax and Cosmos. Let's see, movies. A Tenebrae Guard in 15 film. A Tired the Tyrant in Damnation. Wow, a lot of these I think are characters that just don't... D in Vampire Hunter D? Really? Huh. Tatsu in TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze? Really? Oh, wow, no, he's just that guy in general. Huh. Shin in the Fist of the North Star film. I can actually see that one. All right, video games. Here we are. Let's see. What's the most recent one I care about? Nagi in Xenoblade Chronicles X. Kano in Mortal Kombat 10? Really? He's the modern voice of Barry Burton! Oh, this makes me most happy. Ermac and Kano in Mortal Kombat 9. Various characters that I don't care about because I haven't played their game. Barlow in Order of Ecclesia. He's Fusoya in the DS version of 4, as well as Cognazo and Zero-Miss. But, oh, that's... Wow. Wow. Vaughn in Tales of the Abyss. Astaroth in Soul Calibur 3. Huh. 3 is actually the Soul Calibur game I probably played the least, mostly because I just didn't own it as a kid. Not that I didn't own, like, 4, at the moment 5, or 1, but I just played it the least. Also, Soul Calibur 6 looks fantastic from the one video we've seen of it so far. Wow, this guy has really been all over the place. That's pretty impressive, actually. Mucous Mountain, or World 4 on the whole, actually does have some issues with it, namely the fact of sometimes what you can jump on isn't immediately obvious, because when I first played, I didn't realize I could jump on these branches at first. And some of the jumps are pretty perilous, and the moving platforms are surprisingly nerve-wracking to jump on, because I swear their hitbox, like with the platforms in the Nasal Caverns sections, isn't exactly where you'd think it is. I also oddly think that some of these levels can actually be the longest levels in the game. I'm not entirely sure about that, because that could just be me not being too into this aesthetic or these gimmicks, or lack thereof, rather. But something about this world just feels like it drags on a bit longer than it should. Mind you, it helps that the 5th world is actually... overall, it's technically the longest world because it takes up the entirety of the next part, but it also... some of the levels just feel like they're much shorter. Helps that there's probably some little shortcut things I do there. Something I'm also aware of the game, and actually, now that I think about it, that's probably what the floating up the wall could have been in the speedrun. This game actually has a minor free movement mode, where if you have a second controller in, you'd have to press, like, I think it's A, B, C, and start all at once on controller 2, and you can move Boogerman around as you wish on the screen. It probably doesn't actually as useful as you'd think, because while it would allow you to skip to the end of certain levels, some of these levels can be kind of long to begin with. And I think there's actually a secret inaccessible ending, except like through the level select, that sends you to the credits. Only like 2 of the game's major developers are waving at you. Mortal Kombat, not motion captured, pixelated picture movement wise. You know what I mean? Mortal Kombat style. Which, you know, that's pretty cool. I do like it when developers put in little joke endings like that, although not in the same way that Zero Wing did, because was that the name of it? Yeah, that was the name of it, Zero Wing, the all your base game. Because that game, I think in Japan had like close to 30 endings or some shit like that, and they were just like increasingly weirder quotes. Weird. Either way, that's Mucous Mountain Act 3, Susan Sonic, Stage 3. Like I've said, this world isn't very interesting to me. However, Nasal Caverns, level 2, technically Mucous Mountain, level 4, has one of the most annoying sections in the game. Is also the introductory of these little bat enemies, which don't seem that annoying, but, well, actually, no, not the introduction, because I think they technically showed up earlier, but this is the first time we see them spawn towards the floor, I think. When they're flying at you, they can actually be kind of blindsidable, because, yeah, it's just annoying. Also, this section here sucks. There's no other way to get around this. You have to somehow time your jump so that you can get around the wind. However, I swear it just does not work like it's supposed to, or at least the timing is more strict than it's supposed to be, because that is annoying. Oh, okay, that's funny. These are actually enemies we saw earlier in, like, the first world, but we haven't seen them since, and now they're being used as obstacles. That's just humorous. Like I said, there's some real charm in this game, but then you have to get through some of the rest of it. Though I always remember being ceaselessly entertained by the little nose teleporters like the one I just went through when I was a kid. Like the first one in Flatulent Swamp, level 1. I would just kind of go up and down through it because I love the animation for Boogerman being sucked through it. Ah, how the young minds are entertained. Something I think I'm also aware that the speedrun does is that it will actually times purposely jump onto some of the pimples, because I think jumping on them actually speeds you up just a little bit for your midair speed. At least enough to maybe be noticeable on like a task run or something. I was actually taking a look at some of the times earlier. I found a task run in this game that's like 20 minutes long. So, yeah, it's much faster to do it on task than it is, yeah, mind you, it usually is, because inhumanly inputs. That was poorly worded. Either way, not good for people doing. Now you see, look, this rock makes this section more interesting because you actually have to go out of your way to try and find something. Now, if only they did more of that, and with more stuff. It's almost as if Boogerman on the whole was just a really good-looking proof of concept in some way that they just didn't put, or at least they didn't feel the necessity to make a sequel. This game actually might not have sold well. Let me see if I can find anything about that. Boogerman total sales. Because if this game didn't sell well, I can understand it. I know it was rated, I think Ep.3 was the rating at the time, which was like the same rating that Splatterhouse got, which is weird. Because apparently the gross humor is not good for kids, even though it's like perfect for their age group, because they love shit like this, literally. Yeah, how times have changed, I guess. Because I know Earthworm Jim was rated GA at the time. And this was this before Mortal Kombat? I don't think it was, but I guess the rating system also might have just changed over time as well. Oh, I love that enemy. We start seeing them from, I think, this stage, maybe Nasal Caverns Act 1 on. But those enemies in the stalactites just knock themselves down, and the uh-oh in their face they make is just hilarious to me. I think they technically automatically kill themselves when they land on the ground. Their sprites is still there, and you can still jump on it, but I don't think they can damage you at all. Yeah, jump on the right side of these, because the left, I swear to God, doesn't have a hitbox. Or at least it's like a slope hitbox that allows you to slide down into the water, and that's just not fun. Though the drowning animation in this game is cool looking, I guess. It makes me wonder, really, though, if this had gotten a sequel, what would they have refined? I would hope they would refine the camera, maybe give the levels a bit more variety and gimmicks. Keep the aesthetic detail, because I do think this game is graphically fantastic, especially on animations. Maybe boss fights need to be either both more varied and more entertaining on both the difficulty scale and, well, no more annoying scale than anything, and just entertainment factor. Anything else I could think of that I'd like to see in the sequel to this, or would have liked if it had ever gotten one? Maybe more 90s cheese cutscenes, as weird as that is to say. Like, imagine if this got like a modern day revival like Bubsy did. It would either be absolutely horrible and dated, which the dated part's kind of unavoidable with a character like this, or it would actually be kind of funny. Either way, time for the boss. Deodor Ant. I hate that pun.
Aha! You stink, Boogerman! Uh-oh.
However, I also like the pun. Deodor Ant is actually probably the easiest boss in the game, because the way he works is that his going across the screen animation is more or less entirely underground. The thing that's supposed to damage you is the rocks. However, they can't hit you as long as you're underneath one of the two platforms. The only danger that standing on the platform it does is that, especially later on in the fight, Deodor Ant won't always just swap sides of the screen. He might stay on a side of the screen. Helping in the difficulty of this fight is that the rocks that drop down during this animation can drop power-ups, be it cans of beans, mucus balls, or capes for hit points. This boss is easy. His other two attacks are firing a little DDT thing forward like that, which is very telegraphed, actually. And his last one is probably the most annoying of his attacks, honestly. I think he's about to do it, where he throws like light bulbs or something at you at 3 altitudes. Those are, at times, a bit more predictable than the Flyboy spit projectiles, because they fly straight forward, therefore you have a better grasp of where they're going. Deodor Ant, honestly, in my eyes, should have been the first boss. Oh no, he actually has 4 attacks, except the lightning bolt one's basically just the puff of smoke, only maybe a bit faster. How relatively... Oh, I just realized he pulls that thing out of his underpants. That is disgusting. On the whole, though, he's also probably my favorite boss due to the fact that I actually have fun fighting him. Especially around... I think it's around this point where he starts to maybe pop up on the same side of the screen. Yeah, there he goes. Even though I try and confidently stay still at some points, what I would recommend doing is just staying more towards the center around this point in the fight, just so you can avoid that. I think he does it maybe at set intervals, but I also just can't tell. Like, honestly, I recall that one right there being a gamble on whether or not he was going to pop up there or not. So, I play this fight at times a bit risky, but I have the health to spare because I'm at my highest hit point level. Either way, Deodor Ant, not a very hard boss. Pretty fun, honestly. Probably the best boss in the game. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we'll be heading into the final world of the game and finishing it off. See you guys then.